Yes, indeed. Thanks for staying with us. The program is still this morning on ITV, broadcasting from your darling station, independent television, located here on the hilltop of Mpape district in the nation's capital city. My name is Iharuata, and we would be looking at something today. It's time for aviation update here, and you know for sure the news appears to be everywhere. Aviation. Yesterday, we saw what happened in the evening when Starboy had to flew another chopper to Lagos from Kogi. Everyone had to shout, this man, the lens. So, but somehow, it's the aviation spirit here. Once you fly, you keep flying. Despite all odds here, you just need to keep flying here. And Starboy flew another chopper yesterday. But our guest is the one you see on the screen there. Nice, smiling man there, Mr. Gordon N.E.K. The telephone number is there. The email address is there. The website for you to actually check research. The YouTube channel is there. So you can watch some of the video here. You can tweet at him and you can follow him at his Twitter handle. But now let's start to talk. When it came down when it came down Saturday afternoon towards evening, everyone was shocked about Starboy. Superstition came in so quickly. Some say it was in Kogi State. When President Muhammadu Buhari was going to speak, he actually missed his step, and somehow in that same Kogi State. Some say in that same Kogi State here, the chopper had a problem. What is wrong with Kogi State? Now we've gone beyond aviation here. We start to look at the issue of superstition. But let's put all of those things. Why some are saying the Guagualada plane chopper had a problem. This one again, all these are issues that will live out here. We've got aviation freak, Mr. Godwin N.E.K. A very wonderful morning. A pre-election week morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Very wonderful morning.
And how was your weekend?
We're fine. We're all looking at this machine here. And everyone was asking questions. What went on about the chopper? But yesterday evening, when the footage came out that the Starboy, as they call him now, had flown another chopper to Lagos, it was one Facebook thing. Everyone was asking questions here after what happened here. But somehow, planes like water. Even if it kills your cousin, you still drink water.
Oh, yeah. That's how to be courageous. The man is hell-bent on getting his job done. And since the crash in Kogi couldn't take his life, then life goes on. And I admire his courage. I'm talking about Vice President Osibanjo. I admire his courage and I admire his faith. And he was quite lucky. He was quite lucky. He escaped death by the whiskers. If that chopper had exploded into a fireball, there was no way anyone would have escaped from it. And so we are very grateful to God. The nation would have been in big turmoil and confused, and we wouldn't have found it funny if he had lost his life in that crash. So we're grateful to God that it went well. And
okay,
we need to.
Hold you first. Let me take you on video analysis. Some videos we are released yesterday.
Okay.
And I want you to help us based on your knowledge on aviation to look at the videos. If we can have the videos we have, the videos sent yesterday, the two videos sent. I think the two videos sent yesterday to our production crew folder. The two videos sent yesterday. The videos are trend throughout the social media. We can have this is the clip here. This is the clip. But let's get the two videos. If you can get the two videos, we can analyze them here. It appears that they are not showing the same aircraft here, so that we can look at the one. This is the crashed helicopter, but let's look at the real one here. But if we can get the second, if we can get the video, we want to get the videos the two videos. Okay, this is the video that came out here. One of the videos that came out from the rescue operation when persons we are rushing. This is the Kaba field. If you know
that's
the Kaba
right.
field,
Yeah.
This is the Kaba field.
This is real.
Known for excessive dust. Known for everything.
Red sand.
Red sand. This is real Kaba field here, and you could see the rescue operation going on afar off there. Everyone really going to rescue the vice president, now nicknamed Starboy. This is the Kaba field there. Everyone looking at it. Now, if we can look at the second video that also trend side by side. This is the second video that trend. The helicopter landing here, and most times we don't know whether this is the Kaba field, but this one appears to be in a more developed area. This is the second video that trend. Look at this one appears to be more like in a city environment. That's the second video that trend. What's your take on this video? What is it real?
This second video is fake. It's fake news. Somebody released it all the way from abroad. It's actually, it originated somewhere from one of the Western countries, and it's been going around in this entire globe.
But that
it got to Nigeria.
Like an African scene, but not,
yeah, not
Kaba.
Certainly not in Nigeria. That helicopter there is a military helicopter. You could see the camouflage, stripe.
Okay, and if you see the environment is heavily built,
yeah,
you could see some waterboard facilities behind, some big waterboard.
That's
camouflage. That Kaba don't have.
You see, that's camouflage. It's a military.
It's not white.
No, absolutely fake. And I urge Nigerians watching to disregard that video. It's not. That's not the video of the crash of our Vice President's chopper. Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, with what transpired there at Kaba, there's no way anyone would have had image, the video image of what went on.
That was I was told.
It's not. I mean,
based on that
those pilots should have been more professional than they were. They should have advised Mr. Vice President and the rest of them that landing in that place in the state that it was.
Can you give us a brief from your own understanding here of the Kaba field and all of that here?
Yes.
What really happened?
Okay. First of all, I think it's important to refresh the memory of our teaming viewers about how this machine works, so that you will understand what could have happened there. Now, these rotors give this machine all the lifting and forward movement power that it requires. And what happens is, by the way, you have three major controls. One is called the collective, which is usually a lever. But no, you won't find it. If we had a clip, or you would have seen a schematic diagram. I don't know if they can find one quickly and bring out the helicopter schematic diagram that we have in the system. Then you see. Well, I can describe what it is. If a pilot is sitting like I am doing right now, the collective is a lever that is on the left hand of the pilot. What happens is, why it's called collective, is that it collectively changes the pitch in a simultaneous manner, the pitch of these rotors, in order to bite hard into the air. Have you wondered why, when a helicopter starts, this thing rolls at high speed and the helicopter is sitting right there? But as soon as you pull the collective, the pitch of this blade will twist, biting hard on the air around it. And what happens is that it pushes down air in a process known as downwash. Now, when it pushes down that air, as soon as the volume of air or the mass of air pushed down is equal to the weight of the airplane, it renders this helicopter weightless. And what happens? The helicopter ascends, because now the downwash has made it weightless, kind of lighter than air. That's another way to explain what the downwash has done to it. There again, in between. Oh, that's okay. Find the other one. Find the other one. Okay, those are the parts of helicopter. Okay. If they find the other one, you will see the position of the collective and the rest of them. Now, between the legs of the pilot, you have another stick, a control stick known as the cyclic. Okay. What that cyclic does for you is having generated air pressure by pulling your collective. Now, the same vertical force that makes this thing go up vertically can make it go forward when you push your cyclic forward. These things.
I mean, the whole thing is about air management.
That's correct. So, you see, our viewers need to understand this thing I'm explaining before they can understand why that plane had the issue it had in Kaba. Now, if you now push your cyclic forward, the whole of this, with the help of a plate that's somewhere here called swash plate, where this mast and the rotors are mounted. That thrust plate enables the system to move forward collectively. Now, if you move forward, this helicopter moves forward. If you pull your cyclic backwards, these things move back and takes it. That's why, and then if you take it to the side, this one moves to the side. You take it to the left, it moves to the left. You know, so what happened, I haven't understood how this works. It's all about air management according to your language. You know, let me now tell you what transpired in Kaba. And I want you to recall that it's not, we've had incidents of such twice with the American Air Force. One was in the desert when they were going to attempt to rescue some hostages held in Iran. You remember that period? That was during Jimmy Carter, the reign of Jimmy Carter. They were going to rescue some of their hostages held in Iran. Exactly that thing that happened in Kaba happened in the desert, and you know, one of the helicopters crashed into another one, killing one or two you know, American soldiers, and that was how that mission was aborted. There again, when American forces went into Pakistan to get hold of bin Laden, the very first chopper that landed inside the compound of bin Laden had the same issue as he was coming down, because the surrounding wall tampered with the downwash as the plane was descending. Rather than keep the air together in order to sustain the weight of the airplane, the small space and the wall there kind of disrupted it, and so the plane fluttered, and one of the wings hit something, and from there on there was a crash and disablement of the helicopter. And after the operation, they abandoned it there after shooting some missiles at it and to destroy it and make it impossible for anyone to pick up some vital information on the very special systems installed in that helicopter. So it's not the first time that, and that's why pilots need to be updated regularly to know the machines they fly better on daily basis. Now, if those pilots had been mindful, they would not have gone into that dusty, sandy place, because what had happened was that on approach, and as soon as the vertical...
But if we can go to the other clip now, the one that you are judged to be the original clip, if we can go there, the video, that original video we saw, so that we can, you can see the amount of, even at the point of crash, at the point of rescue, the dust was still...
Oh yeah,
it was still thick.
That's right. Okay.
That is the point of rescue now.
Yeah.
Now, the point of rescue.
Now, what happened there, from my knowledge and experience, what could have happened was that as the helicopter came in,
because the first one landed, the advanced helicopter.
That's right. But then the dust might not have fully settled, and this other one came right from 50 meters above, or even up to 100 meters above. The downwash coming from those rotors will generate a lot of dust and create what is known as a whirlwind effect with dust everywhere. Two things will happen immediately.
This is now when it has cleared.
That's right. That's right.
But the dust will still going to the pavilion.
That's right. Two things will happen immediately. Number one is that
that's the rescue. That's the rescue operation when they had to go in to pull out the vice president and the crew.
That's correct. That's correct.
And for some of the persons who were there as journalists who were part of the advance team to pick him, they said the petrol was still, the fuel, sorry, was still even coming.
That's why it's miraculous. It's miraculous that, yes, it's miraculous that it didn't erupt into a ball of fire. Because if that helicopter had erupted, no way, no one would have come out of that helicopter alive, because even those that will rescue them would not have had the ability to go near because of the heat that will be coming from the fire. So the fact that it didn't explode into a fireball it's a miracle, because aviation fuel is highly inflammable, and a little spark, not even only spark, violent shaking can get it to explode. And so it's really a miracle.
So
that
in this one now, for the clarity of those who are watching us now, what would have been the possible cause? That's
why I've been explaining to you when you interrupt, but let me quickly finish that explanation. This machine is also known as VTOL, VTOL, meaning vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Other forms of fixed-wing aircraft will take a run and then ascend into the air, and except for those who are also built specially with adjustable engines that can do those kind of vertical takeoff. Now, the meaning of it is that for this thing to go anywhere, it first of all goes up vertically. Oh, here we go. Let's explain something that's on the screen right away. Okay. Take a look at the controls of a helicopter. Can you see the lever where you have the collective? Yeah. Usually on the left of the pilot. Right. Now look at the cyclic. That lever that is usually between the two legs. In most designs, the two legs of the pilot. That's the cyclic that can move you whichever direction you push it forward, it moves forward, pull it back, it moves backwards, push it sideways, it goes sideways, and the rest. And then those pedals control the anti-tuck rear rotor. Remember that the small rotor at the back of the helicopter is known as it's known as anti-tuck, TORQUE. It's a force generated by the running of this rotor. As the rotor runs, for instance, clockwise, it generates a torque force that turns the body of the helicopter the opposite direction. And so, in order to balance for that force, the rear rotor is installed, that small rear rotor, to run opposite.
Just come to us.
Yeah.
You can come to us here.
Yeah.
At this one here. The one at the rear, this one you see here.
That's right.
This one you see at the back. If you look at every chopper, you have this one here.
Careful.
This is the one here.
Yeah, that's right. And in most live choppers, they are installed on the side. The job it does is that as these ones roll clockwise, they generate a torque force that tends to move the body of the helicopter anti-clockwise. Now this one here is installed to run anti-clockwise and then generate a torque force that moves this body clockwise. Now what does it do? It cancels the torque force generated by this and then keep the helicopter stable and straight. But there again, it has a second function. The second function is that by that torque force and the fact that it has its own small swash plate as well that enables it to move, in whichever direction you want it. Now, if the pedals are used to create yaw, what is known as yaw, Y-A-W, yaw. That is, if you step on the left pedal, it moves this way to the left. If you step on the right pedal, it yaws to the right. And it is this rear rotor that does the job for you, because when you step on the pedal, it changes the pitch that can push the tail to point your nose to where you want it to your right, and then if you step on the left pedal, it adjusts the pitch in such a way that the generated torque force gives you the yaw to the other side. So that's the two functions, and those are what the two pedals you saw in that schematic diagram, do. So flying a helicopter is quite challenging. It's not as easy and smooth as fixed wing that can be fully automated. This is not ever fully automated. You know, in fixed wing aircraft, once you set your flying parameters, I mean, as soon as you take off and get to about 5,000 feet above the sea level, you can just turn on your autopilot, and then the pilot just does nothing else. You just relax, drink your coffee, converse with your co-pilot, and then read if you want to read, and really have fun. And what they call them, ailerons will run automatically. The elevators will do what they are supposed to do. The rudders will do what they're supposed to do, depending on the parameters already set in the system, until you get close to where you're supposed to land. But that does not exist in a helicopter. Okay. In a helicopter,
you must be at work.
Every input you make,
no period of cruising.
No, every input you make requires an adjustment. For instance, if you pull up your collective and then you rise into the air, as soon as you push your cyclic for forward movement, the first thing this machine does is it dips. Watch out anytime you find a helicopter taking off. As soon as you push your cyclic for forward movement, the first thing it does is it dips as it moves forward. There again, that dipping, if you don't correct it, may head you down to the earth, to the terrain. All right? So the pilot is mindful of also adjusting his collective in order to keep it, rising to the altitude that has been assigned for that flight. You get the point. So, and then if you are hovering, if you come over somewhere that you need to stop and hover, that is a most tortuous, point of flying a helicopter, because your two legs are busy. Your left hand is busy with the collective. Your right hand is busy with the cyclic, and you must continue to balance them for this thing to remain steady in the air. Otherwise, you will find something like this happening to you. And skilled pilots have learned how to really deal with them slowly and nicely, and you keep it balanced. And then when you want to now come down gently to touch down, you now begin to push down your collective and lose pitch here, which now lets down this. So let's quickly now discuss what went wrong in Kabul. Now, as they got over that sandy and unacceptable environment for helicopter to land in the state it was, they should have done some wetting of the place to keep that sand, the sand there, laid steady, without ability to generate dust. Now, when they came close to touching down, the downwash spilled into the air a whirlwind of dust. Two things happened to the pilot.
Have you seen the whirlwind before? I saw one. I almost got too scared.
Yes.
I
experienced one in Florida myself. Yeah.
I think around Doha. Just when I live in Doha.
Yes.
And the pilot had to start to take the plane upward. The plane was going upward.
Yes.
And what we could see was like a storm, dust storm.
That's right.
And I was really wondering how the guy was going up to the point that the storm was more than rain, was coming, the whole place was as if the entire desert was coming towards us.
Yes.
I want to go above it, and I say, wow.
Yes.
And I look behind,
so let's quickly,
everywhere was brown.
Let's quickly now tell our viewers what went wrong there, in my opinion. Now, two things happened when the whirlwind of dust was generated by the downwash from the rotors of that airplane. Number one, that was most dangerous of them all, was that the pilot lost his situational awareness. With that happening, he had no chance of looking down to see how close he was to the ground, how close he was to anything that around him. And number two, that downwash that was supposed to sustain the helicopter, they didn't find concentration on the ground as it shone up dust it dispersed. And the effect of that dispersal is make this machine flutter. Have you, when you were a little boy, I don't know if you shot catapults at birds.
Everyone did that.
Yes, you shot catapults at birds.
I nearly killed.
That's correct.
I just nearly. Every day we nearly to kill.
If you remember that, if you were able to hit a wing of a bird, it begins to flutter as a fly. It will be behaving this way, you know, that sort of thing. That's what I mean by fluttering. Now, that effect of the downwash not concentrated to sustain the aircraft for smooth vertical touchdown caused a flutter. And I can imagine that the pilot was busy, you know, pushing his cyclic, you know, one way or the other to keep the helicopter steady. In the same, within the same time, he had no way of knowing how far he was from the ground in order to.
He cannot even see anything close by.
That's correct. So he might have, in the process of panic, because of the fluttering nature of the vertical, you know, descent, he might have, thinking that he should have been close enough to the ground, he might have pushed his collective all the way down, and this thing came with unnecessary vertical speed to the ground. And if you touch down with more vertical speed than necessary, what will happen is that the helicopter will bounce. Look at the interior part of what we've just described. Okay. The collective red on the left, the cyclic the blue, and the pedals the green. You know, those are the three major controls of a helicopter. All right. So I guess by blinding the pilot and losing his situational awareness, and then the fluttering, helicopter that the downwash that was supposed to sustain him as he came down nicely, was being dispersed by a dusty ground, and the fluttering was taking place. The pilot might have thought, hey, I must be close enough to the ground, and pushed his collective all the way down. And then look at what happened. And then it will just do like this. Boom! It will bounce. And once it bounces and tilts, it gets one of the rotors will hit the ground and then cause a kind of a jacking effect. And then, of course, the rest is history. But we thank God that plane didn't explode into a fireball, and because if it had, we would have had a big mess on our hands, and we would have lost our vice president and the crew along with him.
Now our time flies. Let me ask you another question.
Yes.
How come they all come out hot?
Sorry?
They come out on hot. Nobody's hot. Nobody was hot.
Yeah, because the pressure, the pressure of hitting the ground wasn't as bad as if it dropped from, say, 1,000 or 2,000 feet above the sea level. If there was an engine failure, for instance, and everything had been lost and it was just heading free fall from the earth. No, they didn't have a free fall. They had a controlled fall from the sky. They were actually coming. The
descent was controlled.
Yeah, the descent was controlled. They were actually coming to land nicely. But when the natural phenomenon of the downwash generated by the rotors began to cause some fluttering of the helicopter, and of course the pilot sensing that, hey, I should have been on the ground by now. I should have been on the ground by now. I'm sure initially he was releasing his collective, slowly and nicely for a smooth touchdown. But the fluttering experience must have scared him, and he decided to have a quick drop, not knowing that the gap, because he had lost his situational awareness. I mean, everywhere was dusty and everybody was blinded. He couldn't see anything. He couldn't even see the ground. and there was no way for him to. I don't know if that helicopter they were flying. I understand it's a 10-year-old one. I don't know if it's if he has some electronic installation where the pilot can fly a purely instrument without any visual contact with his location. I mean, if the AIB will have to tell us a little more when they investigate and inspect. Last night when I was on TVC at 9 o'clock last night, because I was invited to discuss this issue, they raised the issue of the helicopter being 10 years old.
That doesn't matter. You go through a D-check, you are going to run.
Good. I told them that the age was not a problem. What was the problem was if he had a check that was due and missed, then of course airplanes are as old as their missed checks and as new as their checks done. So if the log shows that all checks that were due were done, then there was absolutely no problem being 10 years old. I explained all that to them, to the viewers, and it's the same explanation I'm giving here, that the fact that it's a 10-year-old helicopter is no news. What's news is AIB will have to tell after their investigation. I'm talking about the Accident Investigation Bureau. Will have to tell after their investigation was the due check carried out on that helicopter.
But why, okay, we will ask that later. Why did the Villa guys not water that place? Because the advance team that went had to go ahead to ensure that there was security. And some of the guys I called, I asked them, why was the place not watered? It's traditional when the helicopter is to land anywhere, particularly in northern states, you water the ground if it is not cast.
Ignorance is expensive. That's why there's this saying that
because with what you raised now, with a tanker of water or 2 tankers not costing more than 20,000 naira, would have done that and we are good to run.
That's correct. Now, but listen to this. It's often said that if you ever think that education is expensive, try ignorance. So if a knowledgeable individual that should have anticipated that something like that might happen, just imagine for 1 second that I was in that team, for instance. Imagine for 1 second that I was in that team, for instance, and with my knowledge and looking around the environment and knowing fully well that Mr. Vice President and the rest will be arriving there in choppers, I would have called the attention of somebody and said, listen, this terrain is not safe for a chopper to come in and land. Because
even the dust, like what someone told me, even the dust is not even a stronger dust.
No.
It's a dust that these boys that have looked like a sand deposit. The Kaba youth there used it for football pitch. It wasn't grassed, so the dust appeared to be deep. That's what someone said.
That's the reason.
Okay, look at the dust now.
That's the reason.
This dust is not a conventional strong surface dust.
No, if it was a strong one, it wouldn't happen. That's the reason it dispersed the downwash. I've been telling you about this downwash. That is what sustains this machine called helicopter. As you're coming down vertically, that downwash must sustain you. Remember, for it to allow you to soar into the skies, the mass of the downwash has gotten above the weight of the helicopter, and so it takes you up. Now, for it to let you down, the downwash must first of all come exactly equal and slightly below.
If you watch it,
below the weight,
the legs are not affected. What's affected here is the wind, like what you raised.
Yes.
Apparently, something happened.
It hit hard
on the ground, and it
bounced and tilted.
Because the wings appear to be what I'm saying affected here.
Yes.
But look at the dust. Look at the surface soil here.
Yeah.
It's really.
Well, we'll await what AIB we come up with. But I have told you with the knowledge I have of this machine and how it operates and what has happened in the past around the world. That's what went wrong. The downwash was not stable to keep the helicopter coming down, smoothly because of the terrain and the sandy terrain. Number two, the blinding dust generated around the entire helicopter denied the pilot situational awareness. Yes. And so he didn't even know his location up in the sky anymore, how close he was to the ground. And then my imagination is that when he began to experience fluttering as he was coming down because of the dispersal of the downwash, all right, the pilot might have panicked. Hey, I shouldn't leave this machine to come down sideways, because that would be really, really, really very disastrous if it fell, sideways. So he might have pushed his collective all the way down to really, believing that he was close enough to the ground, that the plane might be able to take the shock of hard landing. But unfortunately, the hard landing was such that the helicopter would have done something like this. Bam! That's what happened. And
that's the
rest is history.
No, let's quickly let's be rounding up. Someone raised the point here.
Yes.
I think precisely. Let me quote here Osita Chidoka on his social media handle that he thanked God for the safety. He thanked God for everything. He was very happy about it. But that if he had been at that scene, Mr. Vice President wouldn't have gone for the campaign. He would have gone for medical checks. Yeah, it makes sense. That Vice President shouldn't have been allowed to proceed. Yeah. He would have allowed him. He would have insisted that immediately after that accident, he survived the Thanksgiving. Yeah. The campaign should have stopped. While he should have gone for comprehensive medical checks.
I agree completely with Osita Shidoka on that opinion. I agree completely. Sometimes we do not understand how the human body works. The human body is amazing. The spinal cord is designed in such a way that if you get a shock, for instance, if I fire a gun at you at this close range, in the first 1 minute, you don't feel the pain of the bullet that has torn through your body. Immediately you get that hard and high velocity piercing of your body, no matter through which organ it passed through. Even if it didn't touch any vital organ, it just went through either your bones or your flesh and went through. First 1 minute, you won't even know anything happened to you, because I'm trying to remember what they call it now in the human anatomy. Shots, it's coming and going.
Is it the adrenaline?
No. Oh God, my memory is failing me now. But there is a shutdown that immediately takes place. It's human nature. God is awesome. What He created in human being. Even in an auto crash, if you get involved in a car,
stand up.
Initially, you feel everything shuts down. You don't feel any pain. And now you live in the illusion that you're fine.
I had that.
When in actual sense, it's an illusion.
Finished.
When in actual sense, you might have had some internal bleeding, internal disruption of your system.
I had that.
Yes. So it was dangerous for the Vice President to have stepped out of that plane and continued with his program. He should have been taken straight to the hospital for observation and checks to make sure that not just the Vice President, both the crew and the rest of them, because a little crack could take place in
I know I had an accident, and I thought I was traveling. I had an accident, left the car, got home. I was feeling extremely strong and extremely well.
Yes.
But somehow, accident of about 11 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
At 10 p.m. that night.
You couldn't move your body.
Come on. It's a game of, hey, he must take me to hospital now. And everyone said, and they got there, they said, why did you have to? And from that point of the accident, I ought to have reported to the hospital because the car was almost damaged beyond repair. I came out unhurt, so I felt, okay, it's so good. I checked myself.
I think what I'm looking for is the nervous...
the CNS, central nervous system.
Yes. Yes.
Central nervous system.
That's correct. That's what I've been looking.
CNS.
That's what I've been looking for. Now, as soon as you have such a shock, initial reaction of your body is shut down. The nervous system will shut down, and no pain, no feelings. You think you're all right, and then after a while, your nervous system gets back together. That's when you begin to have signals sent to your brain that
impulses.
Yes, that one arm has a heat and you are feeling pain in the arm, that one whiplash took place on your neck.
Correct.
And all those kind of things.
Correct.
And so it was a big illusion for the vice president and all the passengers in the chopper to have proceeded to the program they came for, believing that all was well, they were feeling good and fine. I can bet you that overnight, most of them would have taken some analgesic because some pains will start emanating from some parts of their bodies and stuff like that. But the pains are not really the real issue.
Even the pulling,
yes,
when they had to
the real issue lay in having some internal bleeding. I think what the good thing here is about the seatbelt thing. We must always learn to fasten our seatbelt. Yes, that's correct. But even when you have your seatbelt with the violent jolting, you can suffer a whiplash. You can suffer, pains on your rib.
But if you don't have seatbelt and that's you're falling off.
That's correct.
You're falling off completely.
Of course, your body becomes a projectile, a missile of its own.
Thank you very much, aviation freak, Mr. Gordon N.E.K. for that incisive one. The Villa guys here, this goes to you. When you are going as advanced party ahead of your boss, ensure anywhere the chopper will land, please, the place must be wet enough so that when you are having that downwash here, you don't have this sand dust everywhere that nobody can see. And quickly, the company that runs that aircraft has said that it is a weather problem.
No, I don't agree with that.
It's a weather problem.
No,
According to them,
I don't agree with that.
We'll check that.
Yeah, Kogi in that environment is not. It's not prone to.
They may mean the dust.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. If that's what they mean, that's fine. That's correct. Because when you talk about weather, in aviation, the first thing that comes to your mind is microburst and wind shear and wind shear. Those are the dangerous weather issues you have when you are approaching for landing, and those kind of when you run into a microburst. I've dealt with that on this program.
Before.
And yes, and then when you have some wind shear taking place and snatching the airplane from the control of the pilot. I mean, I remember there was a topic we titled "Wind shear, the greatest nightmare of pilots." You remember that?
That's true.
Wind shear, the greatest nightmare of pilots. So when you talk about weather, that's what will cross the mind of people like me. But then if they are referring to the dust generated, yes, they are correct. That's exactly what went wrong with that airplane, with that helicopter. And then I would urge that those that are operating these machines will be more professional, and that is surprising that the Villa had to hire a private.
We'll leave that for another day. We'll leave that for another day. We'll leave that for another day.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
That's fine. I will just pray and hope. We thank God that the vice president came out alive here, and the analysis have been made. Those who are the vice president, handlers of security, should ensure that next time when he's landing, he shouldn't land in a mini Sahara desert.
That's correct. That's correct. Because this machine is purely air controlled. Everything that it does is according to the direction of the wind as generated by these rotors, and so you must manage them well. Otherwise, you'll be taking a big risk.
Thank you very much. We wish you all the very wonderful time here. We'll watch how it all will be going through. The vice president is hale and hearty. He flew a chopper yesterday to Lagos. And it's a nice one. It's a nice one. Okay.